Hello and welcome back to the Shoutout Podcast. It's been a long time, I know, and I'm excited to be back. And before we begin, I would like to just give you a quick recap about what has happened over this, long hiatus. I took this break, and within the break, after thorough deliberation, I decided that what was once a small passion project of mine, I would try to make the move into a proper setup, professional setup, and thus, we are here with Shoutout Media. For those of you who don't know, there's a YouTube video that we just put up. It'll be on our channel. It's basically a small description of what Shoutout Media is and the kind of things that we're planning to do. So you can check that out. And I'm excited to be back. And thank you for all the people who have been, tuned in and kept asking about our status, and we appreciate it. So, interesting guest we have today, and let's get right into it. My guest today is an engineer by degree and a tech entrepreneur by profession. He is trailblazing his own path with his latest startup called Tabernacle, which is creating a lot of buzz and also making an impact within our community. He is a man of vision, innovation, and a very good friend of mine. Welcome to the Shoutout Podcast, Atoba Longkumer.
Thank you so much, Asalie, for having me.
Yeah, thank you. And we talked about this, but thanks a lot for making time, taking time out of your schedule and traveling also down to Dimapur and making time for the podcast. You told me that you were just here for something.
Yeah, we had an onboarding yesterday for one of the churches.
Okay.
So I had to come down on Friday, and Saturday we were doing the onboarding sessions with the church.
Tell us a little bit more, or it's still not finalized, or?
Yeah, it was an interesting client, so I had to come down. So they were using a software which was built in the US, and when we showed them the software, they were quite happy with it. We were giving them at a much cheaper price.
Okay.
So I had to come down and meet them, and did
nice. We will definitely get into all that. People will be wondering what we're talking about right now, but we'll get into that in detail for sure. So why don't we start with the shoutouts? You know what it is, right? I'll just give a few shoutouts, and you can follow up after that. So my shoutout. Actually, I have two shoutouts for this first episode of our return. And the first one is to J&I Studios, which is a husband and wife duo. They are a photography team that specializes in wedding photography. You can go check out their accounts, Instagram. It's filled with amazing content of their work. And also to mention that they are Ilyang and John, who are also partners in the new setup, which is Shoutout Media. And the second shoutout goes out to Digital 112. This is a creative agency that does strategy and creative design services. It's run by my sister, Asalie, and she's also one of the new partners in Shoutout Media. So a big shout out. Go check them out and support them. J&I Studios and Digital 112.
My shout out goes out to all the hardworking farmers from my village, Longkumer. So every year they produce more than 350 to 400 metric tons of tomatoes, and in spite of all the challenges in not having post-harvest cold storage facilities, they keep on persisting and they produce the best tomatoes from Nagaland, which gets transported to so many districts. So a big shout out to them. Additionally, I'd also like to add that Longkumer is a tourist destination village. So if any of the viewers out here, you find yourself in Mongchong, to pay a visit to Longkumer. It is well known for its natural rock formation, trekking trails, and plenty of sweet spots for photography. But beware that the legend has it, if you visit Longkumer once, your soul stays back. So please visit Longkumer twice.
Yeah. Okay. As usual, the format of how this goes is to give the audience a little a better perspective of who you are. I like to let the guests talk about their personal life in the beginning, like from the beginning. Maybe you can start with childhood. Where were you brought up? How was life back then?
I was born and brought up in Mokchong. So from class A till class 12, I did my schooling in Queen Mary High Secondary School. Growing up, my family, they put a lot of emphasis on academics and education, so which meant that I had to do really, really well in studies. And, this also reflected in my mom checking in me every single day to make sure that all of the subjects, the topics were thoroughly covered. My dad, he was like kind of fully engaged with all the community organizations. So he headed the Moguchung District Table Tennis Association as a president, built that organization from scratch. And then he was the general secretary for Moguchung District Football Association. Even in the sports council, he was the VP. In the church, he was the deacon for more than 15 years, and simultaneously working as a very sincere government official. So, growing up in that kind of an environment, the sense of social responsibility, giving back to the community was, always deeply ingrained.
That's nice. It's nice to know that because, my father also had this a lot of a connection with sports and social obligation and social work. He used to like to call himself a social worker. So it's nice, and I think that has also when we get deeper into it, the audience will get to know, I guess. But that, I think, maybe sort of shaped or guided your way into where you are now, right? Yeah. Okay. So carry on. And how was childhood back? You said you grew up in Moguchung.
Yeah.
How was it there? And obviously you visit quite often these days also.
Yes.
So what are the major differences you see?
School days, I went to school just to have fun with my friends, because, sitting in a class of 80, 90 students where the teacher had no idea of what the student was doing or what was the progress of the students. I never had, had the interest to attend the regular classes. So I was like a very naughty and mischievous kid in school, and always under the radar of my school teachers and school authorities. So
but how were your performance?
Yeah, because
marks and all?
at home I used to study really hard. My mom was
only in
there.
school, yeah.
Only in school I used to go and disturb everyone. But but it so happened that in class 10 on the last day of school, I was caught bunking my classes by the principal.
Okay.
And then he called me to the auditorium and he wanted to kind of embarrass me by slapping me. He used to do that often to many other students. But then I had to self-defend, right? So I was just blocking all his shots, and eventually he grabbed my collar. And then, in just self-defense, you also had to grab his collar, right?
I don't know. I can't see.
But sadly, that led me to the expulsion of me getting expelled from the school, right? But the punishment didn't end there. I was not allowed to attend the farewell program. I was not allowed to attend the coaching classes. I was led to recite an apology letter to the 3 sections of class 10.
Okay.
So that was a huge punishment, as a 16-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And I had to go through a lot. Man, it was one of the toughest moments of my life.
And also the crucial.
Class 10, very crucial. So I was going through a lot that time. But luckily, my parents, they were quite supportive, encouraged me to study harder. And then that year, I happened to be staying in a hostel.
Okay.
So the hostel name used to be called Penford, and the proprietor also didn't kick me off. He was kind of guiding me through Sir Sanan. So, but when the results came out, it kind of shocked everybody, because I luckily made it to the top 20 Nagaland Board of School Education.
Nice.
And was also the state topper in mathematics. Okay. So I was happy. Parents were happy. The school was happy for bringing a good name. So I guess that was the happy ending of my school days.
That's quite an eventful story. I mean, how was the challenge when, like you said, being such an important phase of your life, at least your academic time, and with the school, putting out that type of treatment? You said no coaching classes, nothing was available to you.
No.
So it's basically you had to study on your own. And
Yep.
Okay.
Had to depend on private tutors from the hostel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So how was the feeling like at the end of it, when it's like
I was
something like revenge is sweet kind of?
Yeah, exactly. And I was quite happy later on in life why that thing happened, because it was one of the turning points in my life. It taught me with hard work you can achieve something in life. And then it also taught me how to fight back in terms of adversity. And it also made me realize, when bad things happen to you, when you're stressful, when you're going through difficult times, that is when you really need to push hard, to go to that extra mile.
Right.
So I think it was. I'm really happy that thing happened, and you know.
Yeah, I
because there are a
totally
lot of-
agree with that.
yeah.
I totally agree that that when you're at your toughest points in life is when your real character shows,
yeah.
right? That's very true. Around that time, what were some of your like aims and ambitions? When it keeps changing when we're quite
Right.
young, but kind of where was it at your head?
When I was young, I wanted to become a doctor.
Okay.
I still remember, class 5, one of our teachers came in, he asked, what is your aim in life? You need to write it on the back of your class notebook. So I remember writing it down. I want to become a doctor. But that dream didn't last long because standard, I guess it was in 8. One of the workers from the school, he fell down from the roof and, he smashed his head. The blood was
Wow.
gushing out from his mouth. And I saw the entire thing and I was like, this is definitely
can't
not for
handle
me.
that.
I can't handle blood. I have some kind of, allergy and I felt sick. So the doctor dream completely ended there. Since I was very much interested in cars, I thought, I'll go for mechanical engineering and yeah, that was it.
And then just take us through after that, like how you got into the line that you got in after school.
Yeah, so after class 12, I appeared for the Naklin State JE, joint entrance exam, and then I cleared that exam. And then I got my seat in Assam Engineering College, Guwahati. So spent my 4 years there in the college.
How was the experience?
That was also another experience because we had to go through raking and it was very extreme. Even physical raking was there. So first year we struggled a lot, but then from second year it was quite comfortable. Yeah, and then got very much involved with the with the student body.
Really?
Yeah, got into elections, got elected there as sports secretary, and then that was how I was exposed to all this, event management, people management, kind of a thing. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting to know. What were your, like you mentioned you were involved in quite a few things. So how, like, when it came to academics during your engineering days, how much of a academic would you call yourself? Like, how much were you into it, and how much was it just like, just I have to get this done kind of attitude, or was it like I'm trying to get my, make my career from this line? What was your?
Initially, I was very much serious in academics, but slowly as you get into college and then you get involved with a lot of other things, slowly the amount of effort that you put in studies kind of like, dilutes in. So yeah, because I was involved even with music, we had a band in college.
Nice.
We were involved in the EU thing. In fact, we released a couple of songs. It's still there on Spotify. We had the band.
Really?
Yeah. It's called Link Factor. So we played power metal.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so
This was what their like college band.
college band.
Okay. And mixed Nagas, Assamese.
I go with Assamese, so I was the
okay.
only Naga there. Had to bring together a lot of talented people and
And what about sports? You mentioned quite a bit about sports with your dad's involvement. Plus, you there also. Like, were you into sports like that, or?
through my dad, I got exposed to table tennis, football, and I even attended coaching clinics when I was very young. Under 13 coaching clinics, all that kind of stuff were happening. But I totally sucked at both the sports. I did play a little bit of basketball in class 11 and 12, and the entire college days I played basketball. I thought I was good, but it was all below average. I just played it for fun. And
But basketball is huge in Mokchung.
yeah, it's huge. in Mogadishu.
It's quite big.
There's a new basketball court that came up. So
That's very recently,
yes,
right?
very recently, last year, and then you don't get chance to play. It's full the entire evening.
Because I did play quite a bit of basketball, and
really?
so I have a lot of friends from Mokchung,
I
and
see.
like
You must be knowing Udisanan.
yes, all of them.
Great.
Highland Dazzlers.
Yes.
They were like a very successful team. Yeah. Okay, and then after you finish, let's get back on track. After you finish your engineering, what was the thought process like? Are you looking straight into a job? Are you looking to specialize more? What was like, what was going on?
Yeah, just like any other Naga graduate, wanted to give give an attempt in the NBC, Nagalin Civil Service examination. So right after graduation,
Quickly, just one, sorry, just to cut you off, but like it sounded so casual, man. Like I just wanted to give, like after giving like 4 years of engineering, like was this sort of like coming from you? Was it like parental pressure or societal pressure, or because everyone else was giving, you also wanted to try? What was the thought process behind that?
I mean, parents expect you to come back and appear exams, so that thing was always going on my mind. So we had no intentions of going out to explore other opportunities. It was just to finish as soon as possible, get back home, attend some coaching classes, appear exams. So, I mean, they did not force anything on me, but that thing was always there.
Right. Okay, and then how was the journey like?
Yeah, right after
PSC?
graduation, I came to Dimapur, attended the coaching center, the preparation started, but then I was not adapting well to the climate, so I went back to Mochong.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I did 3 attempts in NBC. Every time I used to clear prelims pretty easy, but somehow couldn't clear the mains stage. The last attempt I made,
Which year was this? I mean, which few years?
2015, 16, 17 I do a gap, and 18 was the last.
Okay.
So the last attempt I totally flunked in my English paper. In the sense, like 2 essays used to come, wrote that pretty well, and then you had this kind of comprehension for 80 marks when you have to go through a passage and you have this MCQs where you have to tick the right answer, right? So what happened was, like in the exam, I ticked all of the answers on the question paper, completely forgot to note down on the answer script, realized that, I had not done that process only when the last bell rang. So,
And was that your final attempt?
That was my final attempt. So I was just trying to persuade the examiner that, sir, please, just keep on collecting. So after that, I got bored, because you have to study the same thing over and over again, right?
Yeah.
So I had to say.
I want to know, because you said you came to Dimapur, you couldn't acclimatize or whatever it was. You went back to Mochong. You were taking coaching classes or just studying on your own?
In Dimapur.
No, but after you left?
After I left, it was all on my own.
All on your own?
Yeah.
Okay.
But the preparation in NBSC led me to another thing. So in 2015, the Unacademy app, it was a startup back then.
Yes.
It has become a very big company now. They launched an app wherein, aspirants could get access to interactive contents, text with the mentors, solve some MCQs. So I downloaded that and I was like, fully blown away with how the app functioned, and then that was when the thinking process of what is an app, how do you build an app, what is a website, how do you design and deploy a website, how does the internet work. So it was a deep dive into kind of just trying to understand how the entire technology works, and then going through endless YouTube tutorials. I was like fully obsessed on this. This was while preparing for examinations, so you can understand. And then,
So this is like where the change
started.
The journey took a whole left from there.
Yes. But back of my mind, I was like always thinking I have to appear exams, right?
Okay.
And then that time around, I think Udemy was also available. So Udemy is an app where you get to buy courses, professional courses, and you get to learn. So I was learning all of these things.
But you're more fascinated with the apps and that world
So
rather than the content.
Yeah, exactly. And then I also started to take some clients, slowly 1-2 clients. Most of them were free of cost, just to do the project, And then, so the restless creativity was somehow there to create a product of your own. And
how old were you this time? Like when you were
24, I think. 23, 24. When it actually got started.
You said this was while at the same time, like when you were
preparing for exams.
Deep dive into this whole tech world was when you were preparing for your exams.
Yes.
So when was the final decision when like I'm going to get into this kind of
It never happened because
nothing like that.
Nothing like that because. Even though I was building, this kind of products for the few clients, I had no concept about what entrepreneurship was.
Okay.
I mean, the formal concept of entrepreneurship, like what is a startup. I had no idea about this.
You're more fascinated with the tech part of it.
Yes, exactly. Okay. So that thing never kind of crossed my mind.
What kind of projects, if you can,
some websites.
Okay.
Some websites for clients, and then we once built a NBSC MCQ app.
Really?
You upload videos and then you just have to tick the right answer and
So it's ironic that during your NPSC, it didn't work out there, but because of that, a new journey happened because of it.
Yes.
Right, because you had to download those apps.
Right.
So after that, what was happening? You decided NPSC is no more for you.
So around this time, it was in 2019. So the Smart City Mission, they came up with a innovation hackathon challenge, asking all the cities to kind of put up competitions, inviting citizens, innovators, startups to come up with some kind of proposals or ideas, prototypes to help citizen challenges. So I thought I'll just give it a try. So I built a prototype app for citizens, Kohima citizens, and then wherein you could get access to quick information. You'll be able to apply for trade licenses from there, and then
Which is, I think, incorporated into what they're
yes,
using.
and then we had this kind of I built this kind of a system where if you have a grievance, you can just click picture and then send it directly to the app.
Okay.
And then at the back end, you'll receive those kind of information, and then push notifications was also incorporated. When if the administrators they had some kind of information to pass on.
And was this like a group project?
No, it was a solo project, and then
so it was like a contest that Smart City was put.
Yes. So with that prototype, I did my presentation, the pitch, and luckily I got selected. I was actually planning to sell the app, but some negotiations were happening back and forth, and then somehow I got the offer letter to join, and then I thought, why not give it a try? And that's how I joined Smart City
as technology officer. Technology officer. So this was right after, like, was it back to back, or was there a gap in between?
Back to back. So 2018 I left. So I was kind of like preparing, still kind of preparing, but not full time. And then this thing came about, so I was contested.
And Smart City, I want to just a little bit get on this topic for a bit. You were there for how long?
2.5 years.
2.5 years, right? So I'm aware of a few things that you were involved with, and also I want to get a deeper understanding of like some of the actual projects that you maybe led. You were telling me something about you were a nodal officer for one of the main.
Yes.
That was one, and also maybe like some of the projects where you had fun, or you thought that this was something that helped. Because just on a side note, a lot of our people love to criticize, and this is just a part of us which we have to live with. But Smart City program is actually one of the best performing ones. I mean, the Kohima Smart City program is one of the best performing ones in the Northeast. And when you see them getting ranked like that, or not awarded maybe, but ranked as like top 2 in the Northeast or whatever, and people still making fun of it, just goes to show either, very sorry to say, the ignorance of these people, or also maybe the fact that these issues are not being highlighted enough, or their achievements or whatever they're doing are not being highlighted enough, right? So I thought this would be like a great opportunity with someone who was there, did a lot of work there. I mean, like with certain projects also. So yeah, and you can just take this time to share some stories about all the things that you were doing there.
Sure. There, I was mostly involved with the technology projects that was supposed to be implemented. So when we got there, we were not involved in like, what projects we should be doing. It was all prepared, right?
Okay.
So how did Kohima get selected for this project? So there was a plan that, some proposals they made, and then they submitted, and using those projects, they got selected, right? Even Dimapur had applied for it, but only Kohima got selected. So there were some projects that were, expected of us to complete in the technology division.
Okay.
So I was heavily involved with the implementation of the ICCC project, which is the Integrated Control and Command Center. We had a huge data center that were put up with different...
if you can just explain in like sort of layman's terms,
right?
What is the ICCC?
So the control center is like you have a big TV screen wherein you have different components placed across the city, CCTV cameras, street lights, all those kind of things, and everything is monitored there. So basically that
it's like one giant command center kind of
giant command center with your own servers and supercomputers, all that kind of stuff. So that thing was there, was fully involved there. And then in that component, one thing which I really enjoyed doing was building the e-governance system for the KMC.
Which was
I also proposed, but it was also there in the project by default. So we had to just implement, and then we built that system in collaboration with the KMC. That's already live, ekmc, I think, .com.
So for people that don't know, this is basically, you can just apply for your trade license online, right?
Online.
By going onto the app.
And then you can also monitor at which stage of approval
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
And then at the
Nice.
back end, inspectors and the administrators still get all the fees and then just get it approved. You also get your certificate online. So those kind of things.
Just one quick question. So that is obviously under the Kohima Smart City Development, right?
Right.
But what if some other city like municipal, like Dimapur DMC, what if they wanted to, like, because obviously they're not under that same project they're not getting the grants and such. But if they were to try and start this,
Yes.
what would be maybe like how big of a factor would be cost or getting it started?
It all
Is it a big deal?
Yeah, of course it is, because most projects in Nagaland, what happens is we do not do any kind of requirement study.
Okay.
Right? You see some projects going well in other cities, you just want to copy paste it. Without. And so if there is a requirement, you can hire some consultants to do a proper research, like why this is required and what will be the outcome. Then again, that consultant would be able to prepare some kind of a project proposal or concept note, and then they'll just set that out and do a tender, inviting vendors or companies to bid for the entire project, and then you can start building upon it. It's not of a big deal. It's actually maybe
simpler than it sounds.
Yeah, simpler than it sounds.
Yeah. And just going on with Smart City, Kohima Smart City, what other projects were going on that like you were kind of like, even if you were directly or indirectly involved with it, like proud of, or thought that people should know more about?
Apart from ICCC, we did the city Wi-Fi project. So
how effective is that, by the way? I'm like, I go to Kohima quite often, but I don't bother checking that.
It was quite helpful during the COVID.
Okay.
So we had like about 50, 60 locations where Wi-Fi hotspots were put up, and then especially we put up additional hotspot locations in Naga Hospital. So there were a lot of patients there. So that thing was, the patients were using it, and then even the officials, they had to monitor with the center, coordinate with the center, monitor internet. So those things were provided. I think we also provided to a lot of other places, like in Merima. There was a containment center there also we provided. Yeah, and then it was kind of complementing each other, because the ICCC also needed that internet connectivity, or the infrastructure needed to run all of the components. So it was based on IoT, which we call as the Internet of Things. So the smart lights, the CCTVs, everything runs on, dependent on the infrastructure that's provided by the internet service providers.
Okay, so besides that, what else with Smart City?
So besides the Delhi projects, the ministry comes up with several initiatives, asking cities to implement those. For example, we had the Street for People Challenge, we had the Nurturing Neighborhood Challenge, and we had the Cycles for Change Challenge. So for the Cycles for Change Challenge, I was appointed as the nodal officer.
Okay.
Yeah, so the Cycles for Change Challenge was initiated by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, to asking cities to come up with initiatives to promote cycling in the city, and also prepare scale-up strategies. Yeah, and then it was a competition where 110 cities participated. So Kohima also participated, I along with my team, and then with the support of the community, we had to organize various events, bike rallies, workshops.
I remember this time. Yeah.
So a lot of things were done. We also had to carry out various research in the community, and also prepare a scale-up project plan, which is more of an academic exercise where you have to in 5 years, Kohima has to invest in this kind of infrastructures. Why cycling is needed? What is the local community, local community's perspective about cycling? How we can get more people into cycling? So those kind of projects, it was more. Were carried out, and then we submitted everything to the ministry, and luckily, Kohima made it to the top 11. And then we won a cash prize of 1 crore rupees. So for the scale-up strategy. Yeah,
and this is like for me, it's a very interesting thing. So like, can you just share with us a little bit about like the project that, or like the proposal that you submitted for the scale up? And
so for the scale up, we mentioned in the vision document that Kohima is a very thriving cycling community.
Right.
We have various clubs, and the competitions were happening every year. And then unlike the cities which have plain topography, Kohima is quite hilly, so we need to leverage on mountain biking. And not just on the cycle to work, ride for hell. We also need to bring in like the tourism aspect of mountain biking.
Okay, so it was not just about the civic kind of thing, more about just
Yes.
everything in
Ministry were focusing on the cycle to work and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, right,
but in
right.
Kohima, it's not feasible, right?
Right.
It rains. It's quite hilly. Not everybody can cycle. So sometimes you have to, direct the ministry as per your requirement.
Okay,
Every
okay.
time.
Yeah,
any
because it's
project
like a
comes-
blanket thing. They're just doing for every city.
Yes, every
yeah,
city.
yeah,
So we had to make them understand. Then he came up with the tagline: "No mountain is too big for cycling." Right. So that was the tag that was given to Kohima. So sometimes you need to counter debate with them and then say, "Hey, this is our requirement. This is what we want to do. You need to support this." So in the vision document, it was clearly written that with the 1 crore rupees and some additional funds, if the ministry provides, we would want to build a world-class, pump track, a bicycle park.
Yeah.
So a pump track is basically a circuit with bumps and rollers,
Yeah.
bank berms, and it's built with concrete, asphalt, or bitumen. You can have sitting areas, good greeneries, straight lines. It's a world-class facility and very good for training. And then since it's concrete, you can use roller skates, skateboards, little scooters. And then, it's a great infrastructure. So around this time, I was just about to leave smart city, but we had some challenges in kind of identifying locations in the central town where those kind of infrastructures could be established.
Where is it? I remember seeing purpose of it being like,
that was a pilot intervention. So pilot intervention means you just show the ministry that this is a low-cost intervention. This is what we want to do, and if you give us the money, we'll do it in a bigger way.
So what happened eventually?
So the money came.
Okay.
It's still banked with the smart city.
So, but it hasn't.
Yeah, because they're facing some challenges with identifying the
locations
to build such kind of track. But they have a very competent team in smart city, and I think they'll get things right.
Yeah, shout out to the team. I mean, the people in the past like you and all, and the people that are there right now also.
We're just doing it out of passion, especially the cycling part.
I think this makes for a good segue into your sort of what would you call it, like a passion of yours, like cycling.
Yep.
And why don't you share with the people? I know a little bit about it. Even I don't know too much, but about your passion and love with cycling, and especially like mountain biking also, right? Like Trailhounds, the club. You can just share a few anecdotes or.
So it was a long, vision of mine. So I started cycling at a very young age. So I always had been thinking like, why nobody organizes races in Mongsong? So that was way back when I was still in school. And when I graduated, I came back, always wanted to do something with my friends. So I called out a few of my friends, and then together we founded the Trailhound Cycling Club, which was a community-driven, non-profit organization solely focused on promoting mountain biking and cycling. And then, it's quite interesting because back then, that was in 2015, the concept of cycling was just limited to a kid having fun.
Yeah.
So when you start cycling and people see you, you would pass comments, right? You're too old to ride a bike. So we used to wear a mask, cover our face with helmet and goggles, and we used to roam into town. But eventually, the narrative completely changed, right? So we initiated various events. The biggest one would be the Mongsong Mountain Bike Festival. We organized 4 editions of it, and then we had riders coming in from the whole of Northeast, and then states from Bangalore, Maharashtra started coming in. We had riders from Nepal and even from the UK. So over the past 4 years, we had huge events. So in downhill category, cross country category, we had those riders coming in. And then, slowly people's narrative changed, like I said earlier. And now it's like, owning a mountain bike is like a fashion statement for many people. So that is, I think, very significant.
Okay.
And then another significance which came out of this club was, 3 of our cycling members, very young dudes, still in their teenage days. They opened a bike store. Loan bikes.
Nice.
So shout out to them as well. And then they are selling bikes, giving bike servicing, selling bike parts, bike rentals, all those kind of stuff. So those are 2 very significant outcomes out of the cycling club that we did many years back.
And how big of a part does it play in your life? Not the club itself, but just the cycling
Yeah.
aspect. And do you have any plans to still, do more with that, or
Yeah.
is that like a thing of the past now?
For now, it's a thing of the past. I kind of like stopped mountain biking because of the risk factor. Because when you are doing a mountain bike,
I can only imagine.
yeah, there are so many risks involved, and then you never know what may happen. And once you start riding, you want to go faster, you want to jump higher.
Of course. Yeah.
All that factors
Everyone
come.
wants to win, yeah.
Yep. So once you cross 30, you kind of like. think-
But what about with organizing or just like?
Yeah, organizing. If the team is willing, I'm always ready to help. But I cannot be like full time.
Full-time,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll help with the coordination and this kind of thing. But full time is very difficult. The most interesting part of mountain biking was when we went to Tsuku Valley with our mountain bikes, and then it was one hell of a ride. You can check
That's
out the
crazy.
video, and it's on YouTube. And
We'll put up the link for sure. Everyone can check also.
so yeah,
How was the experience though?
it was like too good. Yeah, I still want to go and ride those trails. Amazing. And we had a rider from UK, so he was saying like, I've never ridden anything like this before. He has been reading in the UK.
And
a lot of
who sort of mapped the route that you're going to take, or you just went?
We just went.
Nice. So I think quite safe to say that this is like your biggest passion besides, like your work set aside. Or are there any passions before we get into your work? Like,
I mean,
what do you enjoy?
I used to enjoy playing guitar. I mean, but now it's not an everyday affair. Apart from that,
How good are you? Just how would you rate yourself?
I think I'm good, but I'm not that good. But I do some.
And now guys saying that I think it's pretty typical. Okay.
But I'm not a very advanced player of that sort.
But you enjoy playing?
Yeah, I enjoy playing,
Like
and
you
then
play often?
I do covers mostly. So, yeah.
And besides that, what occupies your free time when you're not
Now it's mostly about all about startups. You're like working like 24/7.
you're in that mode.
In that mode, and then you're reading books. You're just thinking about how to grow your business, and it kind of enjoys. I mean, I kind of enjoy that process. Yeah. Apart from that, nothing much is happening.
So we're gonna get into like where you are at the moment, and before that, I quickly want to touch on one thing which you told me about, which was Mokchung card, and share with the people a little bit about what that was. I know a little bit since you sent me some stuff, but how did that come up?
It was during COVID. Everyone was indoors. They were finding it difficult to buy groceries outside. Even administrators were finding it difficult to communicate with the people. So I was in touch with ESC Sentilong. So we were kind of ideating on this, coming up with a app wherein citizens can just select some basic
Essentials.
Essentials, yes. And then they would order, and then at the back end, the district administration will handle everything and get it delivered. And then the app would also be used to disseminate information, important contact information.
okay.
So we wrote a letter to DC, and then it was approved. And then I kind of came forward, that saying that I can do this for free.
This was a voluntary thing.
Yeah, that was a voluntary thing, and then it was approved. And then I kind of worked like 16 hours every day for like four days, I guess. And then we finally launched the app. And then after the app was launched, again, there was in need of some volunteers to kind of deliver those essential commodities when people order through the app. So again, back to Trailhounds, I had contacted my core team, and then they kind of volunteered, exposed themselves. So hats off to them. They did a pretty good job in delivering all the essential commodities. And we ran that for 4 months.
Okay.
So, when it comes to talking about community service, I think the community spirit in Mokchung is quite high. And this is what I like best about Mokchung. When you want to do something, everybody comes together and you don't expect anything in return. You just want to get things done. Even last year, so in Mokchung, we have this 31st midnight service program.
Okay.
Where there's a countdown event, the concerts happening everywhere. And this is kind of sponsored by the municipal council of Mokchung. But last year did not have any funds. So like-minded people, we formed a WhatsApp group, and people started donating. And then sound guy would be giving the sound system for free. The logistic guy with his startup mobile would come in, and there would be like a lot of volunteers coming in just to get that thing rolling and make it happen. So this is one, very, I feel like we have to value this, because if you talk about community development in the West or some other developed countries, they die for this, right? So many,
Exactly.
so many initiatives are taken up to build that community, but we have that community already here.
I want to add on to this. I think this is a very nice point that often goes untalked about. We don't talk about this, discuss about this too often. And like you're mentioning, I've heard a lot about this also, about the community spirit in Mokchung. But I think in general, Nagas have to build on this a lot more. Like across tribal lines and as a community of people. Like I think with that we can do wonders. Like unfortunately, at this period of time, for me, one of the biggest things I see is like tribalism being one of the big, and then the eastern, the south, whatever, all the groupism or this that happening. So I think having this collective, spirit, like community spirit, and getting together, we can achieve a lot of things via that. So
very true.
Yeah, that's a nice point you brought up there. Let's get into it then. The big topic of the day, if we call it, Tabernacle. So I mean, a lot of people, I'm sure, like are now slowly getting to know about it. I'll let you just start speaking about it. Like just if you could start at like like how it was conceptualized in the beginning, how you thought about it, what was the thought process behind this, and then slowly from there you can just I'll just interfere every now and then with a question.
Sure.
But yeah, Tabernacle.
Steve Jobs often talked about this idea of bicycle for the mind. So it seems there was a research wherein they kind of calculated the locomotive efficiency of certain species on the planet. So how much time and energy it took for a bird to reach from point A to point B compared to a fish that took him from point A to point B. And then quite disappointingly, man came out at the bottom of the list. But somebody had the insights to put a man on a bicycle and calculate the efficiency. So quite surprisingly, man came out twice as good as the one on the top of the list. So this kind of exemplifies, man's ability to craft a tool, to build something that will amplify his inherent abilities. So when I read about this, I was like so inspired. And I really wanted to build something, even in this age. I mean, invention has been happening, but when you talk about startups building a product, it's very close to an invention. Right?
This
so
basically.
So that was the thought process that was going on, where you wanted to kind of just build something and let people use it. I think we're doing the same thing with Tabernacle Church Management Software. We are creating a tool for people wherein they can save a lot of time. They can, free themselves from a lot of the manual busy work in church management, so that they can focus on some important things.
But for basic, for the people who are not aware, like if you can just because I know it's a software for the management for the church, but if you can just break it down in just briefly what it is and what it does, what it provides.
Church management, when you talk about it, it's not just about the Sunday sermons or the programs. There's a very important aspect of business to it in terms of record maintenance. You have baptism records, marriage records, transfer records, personal information records. Then you have the finances and accounting. But the business softwares available today in the market do not cater to the needs of the church. So those softwares become totally unusable. So we came up with this idea wherein it would be very specific to the churches, and we wanted to build something keeping church at the center of the design process. So now what this software does is like all the mundane registers that you have at your desk of churches, you kind of digitalize everything, put in the software, use the search button, and then easily you can find out information.
Right.
Baptism, marriage, whatever it is. And then you have the finance and accounting feature where it's just like a cash box. Money in is recorded, money out is recorded. When it comes for auditing, very simple. You just, through some few clicks, you just prepare the entire financial report for auditing. So it saves them a lot of time, and that's all about Tabernacle. And then, when was the last time that you've come across a telephone directory? You remember that small telephone directory wherein you had the labels like A, B, C, D?
I know.
Remember?
But I don't remember.
You don't remember, right? So the first mobile phone that was out some decades back, the Motorola 8000 TX, it had the capacity to save only 30 contact information. Few decades down the line, Nagaland launched in 2003, and rest is history. You don't remember when was the last time you ever used that, right? So when we're providing the tool, it is quite obvious that over the next few years, the integration of software in the church will be accomplished because human instinctively we try to kind of explore ways and means wherein makes things easier for us.
Yeah.
Right. So right now, some churches might be not willing to use the platform, but eventually a new workforce is going into the system. Where do you want to bring productivity in church management? So definitely, hopefully, a lot of churches will start to adapt.
Isn't that like the mother of invention, like the ease our living standards or?
Yep, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. How has the journey been since when you started something that is totally new? And, just take us through the ups and downs of the initial stages. You said you started in 2022. That's just last year, right? And I've personally seen the growth of it from its inception.
Right.
But yeah, take us through like sort of the ups and downs, the challenges that you faced.
Yep.
And
so I met my co-founder Valerie during a meeting. She was also a consultant with the IT ministry, deputed to government of Nagaland as a IT consultant. So I met her through some programs, and then she was very smart. And then when you are just wanting to start out, you would want people in your team who are much smarter than you, better than you, right?
100%.
Yeah. So I kind of approached her, and then she was also looking for a co-founder to kind of venture out. And then both of us, decided that we should be doing a startup. Both of us resigned from our jobs, and then we kind of kick-started this Tabernacle journey. So
quickly, sorry to interrupt you because we're going to get into Tabernacle, right? I wanted to just quickly ask you about this thing because I know about it. Like, you said it's sort of like a semi-government job. When you were the technology officer at Smart City, right? But it is basically a well-paying job, and it is semi-government. Okay, fine. But you deciding to voluntarily resign from that job, what was kind of the reactions that you got from family, from friends,
Yeah, it was quite interesting because when I initially told about it to my dad, he was like, no.
Not happy at all.
Yeah, not happy at all. Don't do it.
Sure,
you can always pursue this startup as a, side. Side project. But then I always knew deep down in my mind that it is going to be a huge project, and building a startup is not easy at all. Initially, you have to do everything on your own. And we actually tried. But it was not working out, so we kind of decided we have to do this full time. And
you mean you tried sort of without leaving the job? If you could, like you said, impossible, right?
It's not possible, so had to do it. And then you kind of like explain it to your parents, and they understand. My friends were like calling me stupid because it was around this time that jobs were kind of scarce. People were seeking for jobs. Companies it still is. Companies are like firing people, and then I was there like
leaving your job,
leaving my job. I think I really, really enjoyed working at Smart City. I got to meet a lot of very efficient officers from the government, from the private side, and had the opportunity to work with a lot of private companies who are working under us.
Great experience.
Yeah. But someday along the line, you have to move on, right? So that was the experience.
But I mean, just shout out for taking such a big call, and like it's proven to be good so far, and hoping it continues like that.
Yep.
So the Tabernacle story again.
Where was I?
You finally decided to get into it with your partner,
Then we started. Initially, we launched a mobile app.
Okay.
So the app was basically for the congregation to download the app, view upcoming events of the church, news bulletin. They receive notifications, that thing. But we launched last year in the month of May 2022, and then we went around visiting churches, trying to sell the product. Only 2 churches said they'll use the product. I met about more than, I guess, 40, 50 churches, full rejections. Then we started to think like, this is not going to work. We can't even sell this app. Then we talked with the users and then the church people, and then kind of understand what are the actual problems that you're facing that technology can solve.
Yes.
Then there was that secretary who opened the old Godrej Almira, and then he took out a huge register. This is the problem. We want to digitalize it if you can build a software. So that was when all the iterations happened. So I keep telling, ideas are not important. It's everywhere. And one should not stick to an idea. So we kind of pivoted. The app is still there. Few churches are still using it, but kind of pivoted. And then we started building the church management software. And we launched that in September. And after that, churches kept coming
September of last year, right?
Yeah, September of last year.
So that's fascinating. Like how you said, like that. I mean, it's still there. The app is still there, right? The Tabernacle app, but like how you've adjusted with the situation, and then took a left, and then went with the software. So how's the growth been? Like from the beginning, how was like the initial one was like you said a very hard time selling.
Yes.
How was the initial start of
the challenge was quite
software?
big. The software as well as the app. I mean, sales is one of the toughest toughest thing that you can do, and it's quite overrated actually. But in fact, everything is about sales, right? So I'd never done sales. I had to go and meet people and try to sell the product, and then you have never faced any kind of rejections in your life. So you meet clients, you meet pastors, this, and then no. So that rejection was like
tough, no?
Very tough. But now I'm used to it. Now I don't care, right? But that challenge was tough. Second challenge was, first you have to write everything, right? Every single code was written by the team. And then initially when you start out, you don't have teammates to kind of like put everything together. So what we did was like, we kind of scouted for people who would be willing to join the company as an intern. And it did not matter whether you're from the technical background or arts background. If you had the willingness to learn, just come in and then learn about, technical stuff, design, everything. So there were a few people whom we brought in, and then we started teaching them.
You're basically training them.
Yeah, training them, and you start to work for the company. That was one thing. And then me and my co-founder, when we started, we were always talking about, not having that boss culture in a setup, right? So when we ventured out, we talked about it and said, in our company, nobody should call us sir or madam. We wanted to remove that hierarchy in between and then have that direct teammate conversation with the employees, right? And then even in meetings, like, what happens in big organization is the director or somebody big, he gives you an idea and there's nobody to counter, right? Whatever he says, everyone agrees. And then he makes sure that whatever he says is also implemented. But in our culture, it's more to do with whoever comes out with the best idea. It wins. As long as you have, proper evidence and
to back it up, right?
To back it up, right? So that was the culture. Second thing which we really talked about was there are a lot of people who are skilled but do not have formal education or do not have formal engineering degrees. So we said that when we try to recruit people, we will not look for anyone who has this kind of degree, who has this qualifications. Then we just floated the advertisement, and then there were some, applicants who did not have such degree, but in the skills mentioned,
they were
He said we had this. We had this much of experience. Then we started interviewing them, and then, in fact, they came out better than the one who had engineering degree. And then they are both of them, 2 engineers, 2 programmers. They are with the team, Yashi and Mern, and both are doing.
So how many? Just to cut you off, how many of you in total? The team right now?
Total is 8 of us.
8.
Yeah, 8 of us.
Including you and your
me and my co-founder. So both of them did not do any kind of engineering degrees, but they are programmers and they're doing a good job. So I'm really proud of them. And even in the design team, Toso, she studied her geology, but now she's doing into UX and UI design, how the interface looks like, what fonts to use.
So are degrees overrated?
Yeah, kind of. No. Because you have graduates coming in every single year who do not have the proper skills to get employed in a company. So those 2 things are working out pretty well for us. And I'm pretty proud of that.
And so sort of like the business aspect of it, like, You said you've been launched in September, the management software, right?
Yes.
And you've been trying to go pitch it to different churches. And I've seen the growth gradually, but it's picking up. I see like it's on nice trajectory you guys are on. So just share with us a little bit about how far you've expanded, which regions, how many people are on board, what's the future looking like for Tabernacle?
So far we've onboarded, we have signed up more than 80 plus churches. We have
80 plus?
Yeah. Clients from Kohima, Dimapur, Mochong.
Maximum these three, I'm guessing?
Yeah, maximum these three. Then Long Leng. We have churches from Tuinsang, one, two churches from West Bengal, one from Punjab. So, yeah, those are few clients.
I'm curious how these ones are like it's you reaching out to them, the ones in Punjab, West Bengal?
No, they going to our website and signing up, and then
I'm sure you did your surveys. Like, how did you hear about us? And all? What was the?
They were kind of searching in Google.
About, just flat off Google. They were,
yeah. Oh. One, two of them are like that, and then they found our software where the form sign up page where they just shared all the details. We called them up, and then since they are out there. We just schedule a Google Meet or Zoom meeting. We show them the software live demo.
Okay.
And then onboarding is also like online. So for us, the huge advantage for startups, if you're building a software or an app, the advantage is that you do not have any kind of boundaries. A church from the US would be interested in your software or your app, and then they can start using it immediately. So in that way, it's very quite scalable. You can onboard any church anywhere in the world. So that is why investors also invest in startups, right?
Definitely, the scalability.
The scalability.
Yeah. Any things that you want to share about Tabernacle? The ones that you can share without leaking any top classified secrets. Like what are your plans with it? Like
there's a very famous essay written by Paul Graham. You can check it out on the internet. He wrote about doing things that don't scale. Right.
Okay.
Doing things that don't scale means a lot of manual work. So if you're talking about the big technology companies, you talk about any kind of software that you want to use right now, you just go to your website. You can start using immediately. You do not need any person coming to your office, setting it up. Right. Those are like very scalable. But we're in the journey where we're doing things that don't scale means we're kind of like iterating on the product. Right. So when we give the very ugly version of the product to the user, the first version, he'll use it and then he'll come back with feedback. Well, I can build it on. So it kind of matures along the way, right?
Evolving.
So sometimes it's important that you don't scale too quickly also. If you're shipping a product that's not mature enough to 1,000 clients, right, you will not be able to cater to their needs. So we're in that stage where we're gaining traction, but we're trying to keep the fire down a bit.
And then, well balanced. Not getting ahead of yourself.
Yes. But it's not scalable right now in the sense that you cannot onboard 500 churches in one go.
But the scalability is there, which exactly. And that's the most important part. It's not about you have to do it right now.
Right.
Got it. Along these lines, I think we'll get into the final part of our conversation, and that is obviously directly related to what we're just discussing about, and your line, profession. Which is startups. And I just want to start by getting your opinion on like what is your take on the current startup culture in Nagaland? Just first, just in general, what you think about like from what you've seen so far, and then we'll get into like a few things back and forth.
I just want to set some context right. When you talk about entrepreneurship and business, people kind of like confuse like those two things are the same thing. There are some similarities between them. So if you have a Venn diagram, one side you have the entrepreneurs and one side has the business. There's some overlapping, things like risk taking. Both entities are about profit making, but there's a line that says like all entrepreneurs are business owners, but all business owners are not entrepreneurs. So what is an entrepreneur? There are different school of thoughts. I'm also very new to this entrepreneurship, but just sharing my opinion. And there are various concepts of entrepreneurship, and it differs from region to region. But my understanding of entrepreneurship is all about creating something innovative, creating something new, bringing a new product to the market. to an
Right.
existing market, right? It could be a food product, it could be a pickle, it could be a software, an app, but you're kind of like you're a leader in the
You're innovating.
yeah,
You're the
you're
one.
innovating.
Yeah, pioneer kind
Yes,
of.
pioneer kind of thing. So that, according to me, is
An entrepreneur.
yeah, is an entrepreneur. Yeah, and then where were we?
So like I mean, okay, fine. Let's start with that then. Like the culture of entrepreneurs that like are supposedly. I mean, I think mushrooming right now
Yep,
in Nagaland, and then we'll get to startups a little
Yes,
later. But
yes.
like entrepreneurs.
Yeah. I think now people are starting to understand why entrepreneurship is important. And I think it is the way for Nagaland for self-reliance. The more entrepreneurs come up, the more businesses that mushroom in Nagaland, we will be able to, generate enough revenue. Even the government for, for development works. And starting a business means employment is generated.
Employment,
Yeah,
big
so
factor.
I'm quite happy that a lot of people, a lot of our young people are risking their life out and then trying new things and wanting to venture out. So I think it's a good thing. And then even the government, a lot of government programs
Initiatives, right?
have been initiated. We have incubators coming up, which has
Exactly.
never been heard about. And then we have startup funds. We have the Startup Seed India Fund. And then for technology startups, you can still apply for Octane, which is organized by which is under the STPI.
STPI, which is under Kohima Smart City.
Yes. Oh, not Kohima Smart City.
Oh, that's separate.
No.
Is just that they share the same office or what?
No, they don't share the
Then
same
what-
office.
I
It's
always
complete.
thought-
So STPI is called the Software Technology Parks of India.
Yeah, right.
So the Indian government, they set up various COC, Center of Excellence, to act as an incubator for startups, office, co-working space,
Right,
infrastructure, funding, all that kind of stuff. So if somebody has an idea, you can apply for that, but it has to be technology related.
Technology related.
Technology related.
That one is very strict with technology related.
Very strict with technology
The
related.
other startups are they kind of
taking everything.
relax and like
Yeah.
any kind of
Yeah.
as long as it's scalable
Or
innovative.
Yes.
right?
Yep. So it's like that.
Okay.
So there are a lot of funds. Funds are available. Incubators are available. The government is full on trying to promote entrepreneurship, and I think we're just taking the baby steps. We're just an inch down the line. That's 100 miles long. Long way to go. We'll learn along the way.
Yeah.
So I think we just need to work together as entrepreneurs, as government. Coming in together, the government needs to be like they need to have their ears on ground, bring in stakeholders, bring in experts, from outside.
I totally agree with this, and also credit where credit is due. I think the government is doing a lot of. You can see the activity when it comes to this promoting entrepreneurs and startup culture in Nagaland. You see, not like you mentioned, all the incubators and all they are pushing. But again, on the flip side, we also have to, hold them accountable for a lot of the situations why entrepreneurship and these things are not flourishing the way they should, right? And what is like for you when you look at like what are the obstacles? Like we were just talking about earlier, like the obvious one is power. So like when you look at why are entrepreneurs facing a tough time in Nagaland?
A lot of challenges are being faced by entrepreneurs, especially if you're running a company. The basic ones which we discussed, power is very essential, which is like
It's one of the most basic.
and then we are still looming around the corner, not able to provide proper electricity, because startups like us, we are fully dependent on electricity, we're fully dependent on internet. So if that thing is not there, slowly people will start to move out from Nagaland. That is one thing.
But to be like very honest, like forget like what your kind of line of work, which is 100 dependent. It's almost any type of business would require a constant supply of power, right?
Yes, that's true.
Right. So anyway, sorry. Yeah.
Right. So that is one thing. Second thing is, roads, obviously. You have to sell, you have to market, you have to travel. That is extremely important. Another thing would be the ease of doing business. I think if you Google 2000, I think it was in 2011, when Nagaland was somewhere at the bottom in the ease of doing business.
National poll.
Yes. So those kind of metrics needs to be improved. And another problem.
Any factors listed or?
I mean, there are a lot of factors. All these government rankings, it all depends on how much data you provide to the sender. So even if your city is doing very well, the officers there are not providing enough data, you'll obviously get a very bad ranking. But that is one thing. Another issue is the access to funds, and then the timeline. It takes for a bank or financing agency to give you that loan or subsidy.
Red tape.
Yep. And then I don't know, because you apply for a seed fund or you apply for a loan or any kind of government subsidy, it takes you 1 year, 2 years. So when you have a business idea, you want to kind of initiate it immediately, right?
Immediately, of
yes.
course.
And then it's not relevant anymore when you get the funds. So those kind of things are the challenges which entrepreneurs face. Yeah.
To be fair, the government is doing a lot for, I think, the culture, this new culture of entrepreneurs and this new era of, that what is your take on this? I feel that we as Nagas are very innovative people. So I think this is a very good road that we're heading towards. If we, like you said, if we structure it properly with government support and also how our people do the business.
I think as entrepreneurs, with or without the government support, since you're an entrepreneur,
100%.
You always go ahead. And I think it's high time for people also to move away from the concept of the welfare state, where they expect everything from the government to do it right.
100%.
But I think a lot can be done. And then what Nagaland needs is, talent. You cannot have a thriving music ecosystem or a musicians ecosystem without musicians. Who knows the skill, how to play guitar, how to sing, all that kind of stuff. When you're talking about startups, you need skilled people. And who are those skilled people? People from the technical lines, right? Computer science engineers or programmers, coders. So if the government has, I'll just quote my mentor's saying. So he always say if government of Nagaland can produce 1,000, 2,000 programmers, coders every year, that will be a game changer for Nagaland. So in Bangalore, why are there so many startups? You throw a pen in Bangalore, it hits a software engineer. And then I've met a lot of people who have great ideas. Do you want to build this? Do you want to build this over the internet? But since he's not from the technical background, and then it's very, very difficult.
We had a discussion.
We had a discussion on this, because you have to get a vendor to get the product built. At least, even if it's the first version. And then if you do not know the technical aspects of it, you cannot kind of
improve on it.
And it's very costly as well.
Yes.
So I think our people need to start focusing on education. And if you see the NBC Gazette, less than 15% of our students after class 10 go for science stream.
Less than
15%. It's every year it differs. But
I'm sure.
13 to 15%. Rest go for this humanities. I'm not saying that these are bad, but if you see today's if you see today's age and time, it's all about startups, technology, and all those things are moving really, really fast. So education, the knowledge base, the skill development, these aspects should be properly planned and then executed. So from the primary level.
Yeah, I totally get it. So we said degrees are overrated earlier.
Yep.
But then specialized, or the idea of being clear cut in what you do. It's not a degree just for the sake of a degree, right? It's for a particular reason, and you have an idea of what you want to do, right?
Getting a degree is extremely important. We're not over valuing it as well, but when you go to a very good institute, say the IITs or IIMs, you get to meet a lot of smart people that you can look forward to in collaborating, right? And then it also gives you that edge. When you meet an investor, you say you're from an IIT college. So that also makes a lot of difference.
100%.
If you're from IIM, that also makes a lot of difference. If you said that you've worked here, so the credibility is also very important.
I like one thing you said earlier about and right now we were just mentioning about how if you were at certain institutions you meet such smart people and all, and how you mentioned way earlier about when you met your co-founder. She's a very smart person, and you're you always want to have you. In your team, you'd want to be the dumbest one, right? Dumb sounds wrong, but you'd want everyone else to be smarter than you.
Exactly.
Right? That's a perfect team.
And as a founder, it's very important that you keep on prospecting for people. Try to. It's a skill to kind of inspire people to join you.
Yes.
So as a founder, I think it's also very important to kind of always prospect for smart
I
people.
think that is something that's overlooked a little bit. Like, I've noticed personally is that like people are afraid to team up with people who maybe
Huh.
a little smarter than
Right.
them, or they
feel
maybe
inferior.
inferior complex maybe.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's one thing I've noticed. I mean, one of the best ideas we talked about this long time back also. I don't know if you remember, but saying how the most important thing is building the team in the beginning,
Yep.
and you'd want to be like with
Yes.
smarter people. If
Yes.
you're always the smartest one in the room, it's time to change the
Exactly,
room, right?
exactly. And specifically with startups, at least the founding team, you should be able to build at least a prototype. So when you go and meet investors, also, you always ask your background. Are you a technical co-founder? Or at least if at least one of the co-founders is from
Technical background, yeah.
And also when it comes to operations, one person has to be fully focused on sales, because building the product, talking to customers, giving customer support, it's a hell lot of work.
Yep.
So yeah, complementary skills should be given importance.
Okay. So just sort of wrapping this up on this note, like, where do you see this? I think you can call it a mini boom right now of entrepreneurs in Nagaland. So where do you see this in the near future? Like, say, a 3 to 5 year period. Like, how are we progressing? Are we going to be producing more and more, or is it not looking so optimistic on that front?
Feature building is a very important aspect of our team. So we keep on building features for the clients, which is the request. So that will keep on happening. But on a bigger picture, I think we'd still love to talk with our customers more. We are very much obsessed with your feedback. And I keep telling them, somebody texted one of the secretaries, like, when is it a good time to call you? I just told them straight away, like, you can call me anytime. I don't mind even if you call me at 3 a.m. in the morning. So if it's a customer call, we are like very obsessed with it, and we like to give the best possible service. We don't want to worry too much about where this will go, or if there are some competitors coming along. Our joy comes from making our customers succeed. So the best part about startups, so when you go to the client, you try to understand their problems. You come back to the team, have a discussion, do the designing, do the engineering, test it out, and then you kind of release the product, the feature. And then the moment you see the joy in your eyes, and then you're like using what you've built. So that is one of the best things. Best part. So that kind of satisfaction we want to kind of like keep building, and
So like you said, right now, obviously the eventual goal is to scale up to much bigger heights and all. But for now, you're focusing on
the product building,
and also, like you just
customer
said,
success.
customer satisfaction.
Yes.
You're building on that. So, I mean, I wish you all the best on that. So yeah, we're going to wrap this up now. Before I let you give a few messages, what's down the line for Atoba besides Tabernacle, or is it just Tabernacle in the near and far future for you? If you can share with us a little bit about.
Have you heard about the recreate minimization framework that was quite popularized by Jeff Bezos?
What's that?
Recreate minimization framework.
No, sorry, I haven't.
So it's pretty simple. In your lifetime, you want to have as little regrets as you want. So you project yourself to 80 years, and then you look back, and then you think about, hey, back then when I was 30, 40, I had an idea, but I never got started, or I never took further steps to do that, to pursue that. So those kind of regrets I don't want to have. So along the years, I would love to try new things out and just experiment, tinkering, because this is what gives me joy.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I strongly believe in God, and then I think everyone has a purpose in life, and if we work really, really hard, I think we will meet with our destiny. So, yeah.
Amazing. This has been a amazing conversation. I've been looking forward to this, and thank you so much for making time. Before I let you go, ask you to give a few messages. You know the drill. First one is to maybe any friends, family, and second is to the Nagas in general. So you can take your time.
To the friends and family, what else can I say? Just thank you, and thank you for all the love and support that you have showered upon me, especially in my entrepreneurial startup journey. Thank you so much. To the Nagas in general, I just wish to see more people getting started. be it launching a new business, be it, launching a new product or mending a relationship. Because often I see a lot of people, getting stuck in what you call as the analysis paralysis, wherein you're not able to take certain decisions and you waste a lot of time procrastinating. So just get started today, get started somewhere. You'll learn along the way and watch all your dreams and aspirations come to reality. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Atoba. I wish you all the best. I think Naglin is very blessed to have someone like you, someone who's dabbling, all the small things that you said you didn't want to talk too much about, but I felt it was important to just talk about those things. Just goes to show how much you're contributing in your own way, like the small thing at Mokchum cart that you were doing. And I hope that, that's a big part of your life later down the line also. So thank you once again. Enjoy that.
Thank you so much.